Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Look Back, where I take a look at reviews that I did 1, 5, 10, and 20 years ago. I tell you what I think about them now, if I think about them at all. So let's jump back 20 years ago. I reviewed a game called the Yeti Slalom. This is about your animals snowboarding down a mountain and people are throwing snowballs at you. At the time, I thought it was slightly amusing. It's not worth hunting down. 5 out of 10. Bang! 20 years ago, I reviewed Bang. There is no denying that Bang has had a huge impact on gaming in general. There's no question on that. And yet, it's not as exciting as it once was for me. 6 out of 10. It's a little too long for what it is, but there's still a lot of cool things. I applaud Bang. It's just, I don't want to play as much anymore. Capital. This is a game from Alan Moon. I dropped this one to a 6. It has terrible scoring tracks. Some cool pieces about building things that I was very enamored with, this idea of building buildings around in this ancient time period. But there's a lot of games that do it better now. So this is kind of an interesting one in the past. So they're 6 out of 10. Dragon Master, a fun little card game about building grids, 7 out of 10. And Picnic. This is a weird little game in which you're trying to play the right cards to catch the chickens and things like that. I enjoy it, an 8 out of 10. 10 years ago, I reviewed Ruse, which is a terrible, terrible game from Gamesu, 2 out of 10. It's about stories and stuff. It just was like almost a notebook of how not to design a game. I also reviewed Boss Monster, which I did not particularly enjoy. The 8-bit thing, which I'm not a huge fan of to begin with, but I was kind of getting into it. But this just felt very random, so I gave it a 5 out of 10. Very much not in the majority there. This game is wildly popular. And Alien Frontiers, I kind of re-reviewed the newest edition of it. Still a solid worker placement game. A lot of cool, dice placement game. 8 out of 10. All right, 5 years ago, I reviewed Papering Duel. Another terrible, terrible game. 2 out of 10. Has clear cards, and you're putting stuff in this little 3x3 grid. There's barely a game there. Dicetopia. I also hated this one. 3 out of 10. Placing dice. This is one that seems to be popular. It keeps having the Kickstarter occasionally from time to time. Miss Thea. Now, this is kind of a weird one. And Miss Thea is a weird game. It's mixed between Euro-style game and this big Ameritrash stuff. Cool miniatures, cool production, and yet you almost hear no one ever talk about it. There's a lot of interesting thoughts to it, though, and I enjoyed it, 7.5. And then I took a look at the newest edition of 5 years ago of Lost Cities, which is a great game. One of the best two-player games me and my wife have ever played, 8.5. All right, last year, I reviewed 535, which is, it's a game about putting cards in groups of 5 and 3. It's a weird name and a weird kind of way to play a card shedding game, but it's okay enough, 6 out of 10. I reviewed Tuned, which is based on the Musicians of Bremen, a little abstract game, really pretty, but there's just not enough there to make it a good game, 5 out of 10. Mission Control Critical Orbit. This is a kind of cooperative game where one person's running mission control and else is giving them information back and forth, and you're giving each other different things. You're working together. I would like it more. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I think it's an interesting idea. I would like it more if the mission control person wasn't playing 50% of the game. Miller Zoo. So if you ever thought that the movie We Bought a Zoo should be a game, that's kind of what Miller Zoo is. It's a fun, light, easy to get into, gateway-style cooperative game, 7 out of 10. Cancel Loop, Book 3. I reviewed the third book in its Cancel Loop, which is basically point and click. The first one's very good. The second one is not good, unfortunately. I guess that makes the third one hard to play, but the third one's not as good as the first one, but it is back to where I want this series to be, a 7 out of 10. Scarface, 1920. Big, grandiose production. Beautiful components. A lot going on. Probably too much going on. A little bit of luck. There's like so many little problems with this game, and yet there's also so many cool things with this game, with the theme and everything else. 7.5. And then Inside Job, a nice little game that is a deduction game that uses trick-taking to help you figure out who is who. A social deduction game with trick-taking. And I think I wasn't expecting it to work, but it did, and it works very well in 8.5. So those are the reviews that I did 1, 5, 10, and 20 years ago. Thanks so much for watching Look Back. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.